Hi everyone, this is Gadha from Day Zero. We are going live with Namitha from Thrive Therapist. So she is the founder therapist of Thrive. She has been an experienced person in this field. She has 10 years of experience. So namukku adhigam samayam waste cheyanda. I'll introduce her and Namitha will join us just in a moment. For all of our community, please introduce yourself. Please let us know a little bit of yourself. Yes, yes.
So, okay, thank you, Gada, for I am Namitha. I'm a psychologist. I usually work with trauma cases a lot. So that includes childhood trauma, physical, sexual, emotional abuse trauma. So,
yeah.
So now I only do online sessions. Ever since COVID hit, I've had to move all of my sessions to online. So that's pretty much, and all other information about me is there on the website. So I think people can go and look into that more.
Yeah. Okay. Appo namukku ottri wait cheyanda. I'll directly go to our topic. We are planned to discuss the mental health, and actually as Day Zero, I'm just giving an introduction about our side of it. Day Zero focuses on your well-being as such, physical matralla, mental health. We realize that mental health is as important as physical health. So we focuses on your lifestyle and your wellness. So regarding that, in your experience, what is the importance of exercise and physical well-being when it comes to mental health? അല്ലെങ്കിൽ mental health ആസ്പെക്റ്റില് എങ്ങനെയാണ് എക്സസൈസ് ആൻഡ് ഫിസിക്കൽ വെൽബീയിങ് ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആയിരിക്കുന്നത്?
നമ്മളൊരു ഹോളിസ്റ്റിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വെൽനെസ് എൻറ്റയർ ലുക്കിംഗ് ഫിസിക്കൽ, മെന്റൽ, ഇമോഷണൽ ഓൾ കോംപ്ലിമെന്റ്സ് ഈച്ച് അതർ. അപ്പോ മെന്റൽ ഹെൽത്ത് ഒരു ആസ്പെക്റ്റിൽ മാത്രം നോക്കിയാലും, let's say for example, people who are suffering from depression, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ anxiety, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ any kind of eating disorder or personality disorder, physical act from a lot of your negative emotions, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ negative thoughts, overthinking, and also the major part is that it is producing a lot more endorphins and serotonin. അപ്പം നമ്മുടെ ഹാപ്പിനെസ്സിന് റെസ്പോൺസിബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഹോർമോൺസ്, right? Hormones, serotonin, endorphins, or any other neurochemicals, it all kind of works very well with a certain physical activity, be it going to the gym or cycling. So physical health is as important to as mental health is.
Hello,
can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Okay. Appo നമ്മൾ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് ഓഫ് എക്സസൈസ് ആൻഡ് മെന്റൽ ഹെൽത്ത് പറഞ്ഞു. നമ്മുടെ കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റിയിലെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയൊരു സംശയമാണ് എങ്ങനെയാണ് എക്സസൈസ്. ഇപ്പോ എല്ലാവർക്കും 24 മണിക്കൂർ ഒരുപോലെയാണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാലും വെരി ബിസി ഷെഡ്യൂളുള്ള ആൾക്കാരാണ് നമ്മൾ എല്ലാവരും. ആ ഒരു 24 മണിക്കൂറിനിടയിൽ എങ്ങനെയാണ് എക്സസൈസ് ഒരു പാർട്ടാക്കുക അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ഹാബിറ്റ് ആക്കുക എന്ന് എല്ലാവരും ചോദിക്കാറുണ്ട്. സോ ഹൗ ഡു യു ക്രിയേറ്റ് എ ഹാബിറ്റ് ഓഫ് വർക്കിംഗ് ഔട്ട് എവറി ഡേ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അറ്റ്ലീസ്റ്റ് 3 days a week? എങ്ങനെയാണ് നമുക്കൊരു ഹാബിറ്റ് ആൻഡ് കൺസിസ്റ്റൻസി ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുക?
Okay, so see, before I answer that particular question, ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു into ഈ ഒരു കൺസിസ്റ്റൻസി ആൻഡ് ഹാബിറ്റ്. a lot of ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ ക്ലയന്റേലിലാണെങ്കിലും നമ്മുടെ സെഷൻസ് എടുക്കുമ്പോൾ a lot of people struggle with ഈ ഒരു കൺസിസ്റ്റൻസി. so the first thing people have to define consistency, right? അല്ലെങ്കിൽ define a habit. Okay, so ഇപ്പം for example ഇപ്പൊ വർക്ക്ഔട്ട് ചെയ്യാണ്, ജിമ്മിൽ പോവാണ്. okay, so 5, let's say you are hitting the gym. out of ഒരു ദിവസം you're not able to go to the gym, പക്ഷേ you went out and you swim, or you were able to take. Okay, so would you define that as consistency? Means consistency എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് exercise in general ആയിരിക്കും, അതോ can you define consistency only with the gym?
No, consistency and habit creation എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ any activity മതി. You just have to be active. If you are not able to hit it to the gym, വെറുതെ വീട്ടില് അങ്ങോട്ടും ഇങ്ങോട്ടും നടന്നു 20 minutes എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കൂടെ that acts as an exercise. So അതും being consistent ആണ്.
Right. So this is one major aspect that I have in my practice. But they have, okay, that they don't do anything. Other than workout, be it their work or be it, them doing something for their own children or for their partner or themselves, self-care. It's aspect what is people look at it in a rigid way. Okay, so for them, consistency means something has to be done every single day.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
now we are able to look at consistency and habit in a different way, like you said, any kind, right? So that as rigid as you are thinking, once you force yourself, right? Somebody forcing themselves to do a certain activity every single day is not help them, because they have to feel happy activity. They have to feel pleasant. They want to do something for them to build consistency, right?
Yes.
So many research also prove that consistent habit namakku form 10 months minimum വേണ്ട ഒരു time span. Okay. There are a lot of studies that said 20 days.
Yes.
That is നമ്മുടെ ഒരു mental health അല്ലെങ്കിൽ physical health aspect. That is a different research that is done, and every day cannot be up, so especially for a mental health aspect, 10 months ആണ് നമുക്ക് വേണ്ട ഒരു time span എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് to set a habit. Okay. Consistent ആയിട്ട് ഒരു habit setting, everybody needs to know what their goal is, right? Now people a lot of them want to have a trimmed body, or they want to look a certain way, or it could be a certain part of their body. It could be a very generic and vague goal that people are coming with, right? Now, if it is because of self-esteem issue, will you be able to set a habit, be consistent with it? You won't be able, because it's not coming from a certain need that, okay, I want to do it because this is adalla. It's coming from a negative thought. It's coming from a lack of self-esteem, a good self, right? So you set a particular goal when you want to form a proper healthy positive habit. You set a certain specific goal, like for example, let's say lose 2 kilograms in the next months or in a month or so on. You would know about setting specific goals for a person who approaches, isn't it? So now once you set the goal, that is when you need to think about how are you going to achieve this goal. What method you're going to use, what means. So would you be hitting the gym? Would you be going cycling? Would you be something? Would you be saying all of those things? Once you find that, the next thing for you to do is set a particular time in a day to do this particular work, right? Now when I say in a day, what you also have to be about is that what matters. Okay, so like when we wake up and we know we have to wash our hands, or after we've eaten our food, we know we have to wash our hands. Now the context is us eating the food, and so we have to wash our hands. The action. So just like that. So if you're professional, let's say you go to your office and then you have your water or juice or whatever fruit, and you hit the gym, or you go cycling, or you go. So if this as a habit in a context, it's easier to keep the consistency whatever you want to follow.
Yes.
Right? Is that or do you have anything else to ask?
No, that makes sense. So you were talking about self-esteem. Generally, നമ്മുടെ industry as such is not very healthy in a sense that fitness industry as it is, kore body image issues, it's in itself create ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. There are a lot of body transformations കാണിക്കുന്നുണ്ട് that you have to lose weight to look good. there are times when നിങ്ങളുടെ സെൽഫ് വർത്ത് പോലും നമ്മുടെ ബോഡി ഷേപ്പിനോടും ബോഡി വെയിറ്റിനോടും അസോസിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സിറ്റുവേഷൻസ് നമുക്ക് പലർക്കും ഫേസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരാറുണ്ട്. ഇൻ ദാറ്റ് സെൻസ് ഹൗ ഒരു സോഷ്യൽ സെറ്റപ്പിൽ പോകുമ്പോൾ, ഒരു കല്യാണത്തിന് പോകുമ്പോൾ ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ സംബഡി ഈസ് ആസ്കിങ് യോ തടിച്ചല്ലോ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു കോൺഷ്യസ് ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ പോലും ആഫ്റ്റർ പോയിന്റ് ഓഫ് ടൈം യു എന്താ പറയുന്നത്, യു ടെൻ ടു ബ്രേക്ക് എ ലിറ്റിൽ ബിറ്റ്. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള സിറ്റുവേഷൻസ് ഹൗ ഡു യു deal with body shaming as such, and how do you cultivate a healthy body image?
Right. I've been seeing comments about problem in the voice and an echo.
I am not able to say see the comments actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I hope it's okay now.
Right. So you have body image. What?
Namitha's voice idikku break avunnunde, so there is slight issue there.
If one of us mutes, will that help?
Sure, I'll try and mute when.
The question.
Sorry.
Please. Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yes. So I was saying. നമ്മൾ ഒന്നിലധികം തവണ സോഷ്യൽ സിറ്റുവേഷൻസിൽ പോകുമ്പോൾ വി ഹാവ് ഫേസ്ഡ് വിത്ത് ബോഡി ഷെയ്മിങ്. ആ സമയത്ത് എങ്ങനെയാണ് പലപ്പോഴും ബോഡി ഷെയ്മിങ്ങിനെ നമ്മൾ ഡീൽ ചെയ്യുക? ഹൗ ഡു വി ക്രിയേറ്റ് എ ഹെൽത്തി ബോഡി ഇമേജ്?
Right. See, body shaming, I think a lot is very much deeply ingrained into our culture. Right? ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മള് നാട്ടിൽ പോയാലും വീട്ടിൽ പോയാലും റിലേറ്റീവ്സിന്റെ അടുത്ത് പോയാലും ഒക്കെ the first comment that we all get to hear is അയ്യോ ക്ഷീണിച്ചു പോയല്ലോ, അയ്യോ തടി വെച്ചല്ലോ അല്ലേ. So this is something that a lot of my clients also have come up and said about how people comment on their body type or the changes in their body. Now this is certainly something that makes a lot of people, most of us, uncomfortable. Right? So rather than now see, with social media and with all of these images and how people post the perfect, the idea of perfect is also something that's floating around very much, and all of this causes one way or the other into their body image issues. The first thing with body image issues that we can deal with is to accept. Right? I mean, these days a lot of body positivity posts and videos and a lot of advocacy into body positivity is also coming up. Right? So if you actually look into that, accepting your own body, accepting yourself is the first and foremost most important thing. Right? Now again, to accept yourself, you will have all of these comparisons that you do when you see one post or the other on social media, or when you hear a comment from somebody else. But you also have to keep in mind that a lot of people do lack boundaries as to what is something that can be commented on and what is something that cannot be commented on. But in these situations, if you know your boundaries very well, and if you know yourself as a person, right? Now, when you are coming across a situation like this, so when you, like you said, when you go out, when you step out and somebody comments on your body type, you need to ask yourself, did this worry or did this concern start just with this comment that the other person has made? Or is it something that is more deep rooted? For example, if somebody has gone through bullying in their childhood or from their families, or growing up, if they're families or people have commented a lot on their body type and how they look, even facial features for that matter. Right? Now the problem goes way deeper than somebody making just one comment. Right? So then, are you really able to accept yourself in the first place should be a question that you have to ask yourself. Now when it comes to working on all of these, like for example doing an exercise or working out and joining the gym, or having a trainer, all of these things will help you only when you know what your actual goal is. Is your goal really to help yourself, or is your goal to look a certain way? Now, if your goal is to look a certain way, where is that thought coming from? Where is that comparison coming from? Have you started comparing because other people have commented, other people have bullied, other people have, made you passed a judgment on you? So all of these aspects, and then you look at where your boundaries are, how you are going to define yourself. who you are as a person. Right? Even the previous topic that we discussed, how we spoke about the guilt aspect of working out or missing out on a workout day, right? All of this again has to come from you knowing yourself much better. uh, like for example, if you gather yourself when you go to the gym, and if I am hitting the gym, maybe you are able to go to the gym all 6 days or 7 days or 5 days a week, but maybe I'm only able to go 3 days a week. And even when you go 7 days a week, you'd probably be all energetic, you'd be able to do a lot more activity than I would be able to. And let's say me going only 3 days to the gym, I might need a lot more sleep, a lot more rest, a lot more breaks than you would take. So it really, I cannot compare myself with you and say, oh, I'm not really good enough, or I cannot do this. It's I shouldn't be blaming myself for all of this. I should understand that this is my body type. This is me as an individual. There are genetic factors, there are physiological factors, psychosocial factors, emotional factors, all of this involved when it comes to you assessing yourself and accepting yourself.
Accepting yourself എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോഴാണ് നമ്മൾ ഒരുപാട് തവണ പറഞ്ഞു, we should learn to love ourselves as it is. We should learn to accept ourselves. Is it as easy as it is said? Is it very easy to practice? Or if it is, നമുക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെറിയ ഹാബിറ്റ് ക്രിയേഷൻസിലൂടെയോ ചെറിയ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസിലൂടെയോ is there any way to practice and reach that goal of loving and accepting yourself, your body?
See, absolutely, there's always a way to accepting your body, yourself, and loving yourself. But it can differ for people. So somebody who has gone through a lot of trauma in the past, or somebody who has been abused in a relationship or as a child, somebody who has gone through bullying, maybe in school or from teachers, they tend to take more time to accepting and loving themselves than people who have not gone through something similar. Right? So if we are going to compare people based on how much you're able to do, so it's all individual, how we are able to cope with situations. That's one thing. Another thing is how to build self-love or accept yourself. You need to start understanding yourself better. Right? Now, we also need to be able to separate our experiences or what we could have heard from people, or the comments sometimes they would have passed. I mean, sometimes these things keep ringing in our ears over and over again when we think about ourselves. And our understanding about ourselves can mostly come from how other people have defined us, or how other people have treated us. Right? So are we defining, or are we looking at ourselves and understanding ourselves from somebody else's point of view or our own point of view? Right? So that's the first place to start. You need to sit with yourself and know who you are, what your likes are, what your dislikes are, what you're good at, and what are things that you can improve. All of those things. Right? Now, it's a very easy process, certainly, but if somebody here is suffering with a self-esteem issue or a self-acceptance issue, with the help of a therapist, you need to be able to do this. Right? Because some people, when they sit down with themselves and look at the things that they are good at, they probably will not be able to look into something that they are good at, or they might not be able to see something all of a sudden. There are genuine difficulties in those areas. That doesn't mean you're not good at it. It's just because you've not been trained to look at it. Right? So a lot of people, when they look at themselves, they look at themselves in a very negative light. So changing that negative narrative into a positive one is something that a professional can help you with. And probably then you start looking at yourself, who you are as an individual and your body in a more positive light, and you will be able to love yourself better.
So you said about seeking help, right? Most of the times people do seek help. പക്ഷേ അതല്ലാതിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ most of us do not know when to seek help. ഇപ്പോ നമുക്ക് വിഷമം തോന്നുന്നു, എന്റെ ബോഡി കണ്ണാടിയിൽ കാണുമ്പോൾ I am not comfortable with it, I want to look like this way എന്ന് തോന്നുമ്പോൾ ഏത് പോയിന്റിലാണ്, do you have a defining point where you need to seek help, or you just seek help?
Okay. Gada, therapy is really for everyone. right? Even if you don't have a problem, just to catch up and make sure things are okay, and just to even to share happy stuff, you can always go talk to somebody about it, because it only amplifies your happiness, right? Now, when it comes to at what point, there is no point really. Again, it depends on people, right? So maybe your threshold to go through something or accept or endure something might be different to mine, right? So it is really up to each individual. Now, how to understand that would be, ipo nammal oru day to day life, right? In our day to day life, when we are struggling with, so like you said, if you look at the mirror and you find your reflection and you don't feel any love or any softness towards yourself, you are constantly judging yourself, you're constantly being harsh on yourself, maybe that is a point you can consider seeking help, right? So here I would also like to talk about a disorder, and because you brought in at what point. Now, something that is bothering us, like for example, a body image issue. Let's say when you look into the mirror, you're like, oh, my body could have been a little like this, or my hair could have been longer. So now this is a body image issue. But let's say somebody who has an actual problem, like for example, body dysmorphic disorder, right? So that is when you have significant difficulty in your day-to-day functioning, right? It affects your sleep, it affects your food habits, it affects the way you function. You would completely be obsessed with how you look and the problems in yourself. So you would constantly be doing that, and you would fail doing any other activity around you, your work, your basic necessities, like even taking a shower or getting up from the bed. All of these things would become a problem, and that's when it is a serious mental health condition which needs definitely help, right? That is a point. People, I mean, obviously before that, people will have to start seeking the help, because the moment from where you are dissatisfied with yourself is when you need to realize that, okay, so maybe now I have to go ahead and talk to somebody about it.
So, as you guys saw, talking about body dysmorphia, നമ്മുടെ ഫുഡ് ഹാബിറ്റ്സിനെ കുറിച്ച് സംസാരിച്ചു. ഫിറ്റ്നസ് ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയിൽ നിൽക്കുന്ന ആള് എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ കിട്ടുന്ന ഒരു എൻക്വയറി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഹൗ ടു ഈറ്റ് ഹെൽത്തി, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റിലേഷൻഷിപ്പ് വിത്ത് ഫുഡ്. നമ്മുടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും from a point of view where food was our fuel for day-to-day life activity, we have reached a place where we see food as an enemy. കൂടുതൽ കഴിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാല് we are like, we're guilt tripping over it. We have problems when we eat. നമ്മൾ മനസമാധാനമായിട്ട് കഴിക്കാൻ പറ്റാത്തൊരവസ്ഥയിലാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഉള്ളത്. How do you mend your relationship with food? And നമ്മൾ eating disorders ഉണ്ട്. Could you just explain to us how and to identify an eating disorder? What is an eating disorder? How to get better at it?
Right. See, eating disorders, there are many different types of eating disorders. And eating disorder is when you have significant difficulty in eating and you're losing weight suddenly, you are losing sleep, your nails and hair starts thinning. All of those are some of the symptoms of, and you grow weaker, right? And whatever type of food you have zero interest in eating any kind of food, and there are tendencies, once you eat, you want to purge it all out, because the moment you eat, you feel insanely guilty, and so you just want to throw up, or over exercising just to maintain, or managing the calories. Some people have a very strict diet where they only eat a certain amount of calories in a day, so that they can maintain their weight. All of this comes under a red flag, which means you will have to get yourself checked for an eating disorder, right? Now, how to build a healthy eating habit would be, see, again, going back to something that we discussed previously, knowing yourself is one way into doing all of these things. Because once you know yourself and your needs, how much you need to exercise, how much food your body requires, how much water your body requires, what are your triggers, what are the things that makes you feel good or makes you feel bad, all of these things comes under one particular topic, right? Now, when we look at that, food is also something, because a lot of us eat food also based on our comfort. If we are feeling anxious in a particular day, we might crave something more, maybe more sugar, right? We might binge on a few donuts or some sweets, or any form of sugary substance is what we would need, right? At the same time, when you feel really, really low, some people don't want to eat at all. They completely discard food, right? And when you're sick, you have comfort food that you've been trained into eating every time you fall sick, right? So all of these, we are all comfort eaters, majorly, a lot of us, right? Now, when that happens, if you don't understand the needs of your body when you do that, the chances are after you do that, you end up feeling very, very guilty about what you've done. And then you end up punishing yourself. So over exercising is a form of self-punishment. Purging is a form of self-punishment, because it's not doing you any good, right? So to form a healthy food habit, again, knowing yourself and what are your limits, what do you like, what do you need to maintain your health, all of this. And again, when you work with your clients as well, right, you would know what body type a particular person has, and what kind of food might help them, and what kind of exercise might help them, right? So firstly, when a client comes in, if they are able to understand themselves, and they are able to, and see, this is a conversation that I think we all need to have a lot more, right? How we can understand ourselves better, because we cannot just look into the social media. Okay, somebody is doing a particular exercise, I want to do that as well. Somebody is eating a certain calorie diet, I want to do that as well. That's not going to work based on our needs. Again, work wise, we are all working in different areas, different fields. So our work also might, for example, when I am taking sessions from morning, I really do need a lot more food, because I keep talking, the chances are that I might feel more hungrier, right? But at the same time, somebody else and their food need might be different. So if I'm going to compare myself to somebody who wouldn't need a lot of food intake, and if I'm going to punish myself, okay, you're not allowed to eat because you need to look a certain way, it's not going to work out for me, because then I'm compromising my health, right? So this is one way to improve your relationship with food. When you know how much you need and what you need, you are going to take in the quantity that your body is able to welcome. I hope.
Yeah, that does. At the same time, most of us are stress eaters. I have myself actually. If we are stressed, as you said, we tend to go for comfort foods. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ we tend to go for sugary foods that we associate with happiness, or we associate with calming us down. How do you deal with stress eating?
Right. See, before we talk about stress eating, dealing with stress in itself would be one thing, because without dealing with stress, we won't be able to deal with stress eating as such. Now, see, if you have better self-care mechanisms in place, let's say that you've had a really tough day at work, or you've had a small fight with your partner, or things haven't really gone well, in whatever area you're working, or whatever area you're doing. So in these areas, see, it is impossible to completely eliminate stress, but at the same time, we need to know that stress can be inevitable, and these things can happen no matter what. And so we need to have better self-care, right? Exercising is definitely one of those. Having a hobby, doing leisurely activities, relaxing, chilling, all of these things. And people need to be able to define when, or understand when they get stressed, right? Now, the second thing is, a lot of us do resort to stress eating when we are really stressed or anxious and low, right? Now, see, we are all human beings and we all make mistakes. So if the stress eating is happening, for example, let's say once a week, how much of harm would that do to your body, right? Maybe Gada, this is something that you can help me with. When you see a lot of your clients, stress eating daily is a lot different from maybe doing it once a week or once in 2 weeks.
Definitely. For Namalodu, when we do call the clients and ask them how are they doing, if they tell us that oru dosam we went out a party, stress eating thanne avanamilla. Oru dosam, if they go off track, we keep telling them that that doesn't define your entire week. ഒരു ദിവസം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു meal, if you overeat, if you binge eat, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ഒരു particular meal ആണെങ്കിൽ that's not going to derail your whole path to health, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു healthy lifestyle അത് define ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടേ ഇരിക്കാറുണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ again, as you said, ഈ influence of social media വരുന്നത് ഒരു വലിയ പ്രശ്നമാണെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നുണ്ട്. It just adds on to the stress that we are facing every day.
Right. See here, while you were talking about, how people inquire about these things. See, all of us, ipo nammada kuda nammada oru friend o allengil if there's a little child around us, okay, maybe our own child or a friend's child or a relative or whoever, or even a friend who is sitting with us. Let's say we have something on the table to eat, okay, maybe a few samosas, and we've all eaten one each, and let's say a friend is taking another samosa and eating one more, right? Are we going to talk to this friend how we talk to ourselves? Are we going to tell, my God, how can you eat another samosa? How can you do this to yourself? You are a terrible person for doing that. Can we say that? Do we ever say that?
No, we don't. We definitely don't.
We don't. We encourage them. You're hungry, you should eat more, isn't it? That's something that we always end up doing. So why do we treat ourselves so badly when we cannot even think of treating somebody else that way?
So true. This is something that I haven't asked myself. Every time when there is something I want to reach for it, again I start beating myself up. You shouldn't be eating that. Thank you so much for bringing it up. I think most of us will find it helpful.
We're all really good at showing empathy and care and love towards other people than to ourselves. So the entire point, again, this is another cultural drawback, isn't it? We are all taught from a very young age to think of other people than to think of ourselves. So put yourself first and understand what your needs are. So from understanding your needs, you would start looking into what will help you, what will not help you. So even in our monthly cycle for a lot of women, right? When we PMS, we tend to eat a lot more and we crave more. A lot of people crave more chocolate or sugary substances. And that would last for what? A week? But a lot of people tend to, for what they've eaten during that 1 week, they beat themselves up the rest of the month until the next cycle, right? And this is in general for everybody, even men, when they stress eat, right? I've had clients who've come and said after a very busy day or a very hectic day at office, they come back and they binge on some comfort food. And then they beat themselves up on this. So again, one thing is, yes, you need the comfort, and food does give you comfort. That is a place where you can follow the 3-bite rule. So whatever you're craving for, you take 3 bites of it, right? Enjoy, relish the 3 bites, and that should definitely satiate your craving, right? And you stop. So you need to have that rule with yourself. So that way you're allowing yourself to have that. But at the same time, you're also controlling the portion intake, right? So there are many ways where you can control. One is your relationship with food, how much you eat, and stress eating. All of these things. See, it is inevitable for us to feel stressed or anxious, and we all feel all of these emotions, and they're very, very, very normal, right? So in our day-to-day life, being able to deal with those and coming up with techniques and building a good self-care routine in itself will help with a lot of these things. And the second thing is, like I told you before, when you won't dare talk to somebody else the way you talk to yourself, maybe it's time to take an introspection and ask yourself, why do you talk to yourself this way? Is it if it was somebody else, you might not use the same sentences or the same narrative to put the other person down. So why you? Do you really not think that you deserve kindness and empathy from yourself? And if your answer is no, or if your answer is going to be, yes, my narrative is extremely negative towards myself, then it's definitely time to seek help. Because sometimes when we have followed that particular narrative for a very long time, it's very difficult to change that just by ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you. So, അത് പറയുമ്പോൾ you mentioned that, relaxing ഇനുള്ള അല്ലെങ്കിൽ hobbies, you need to relax at times, you need to have hobbies എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. പക്ഷേ, as again, coming back to our cultural practices, we are taught not to relax. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ not to take leisure time out. അതൊരു guilt practices ആയിട്ടാണ് നമ്മളെ പഠിപ്പിച്ചത്. As children, we are told, you have to work hard. If you do not work hard enough, you may not reach where you should reach or reach success, whatever that defines them. അപ്പോ എങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ സെൽഫ് കെയർ പ്രാക്ടീസ് ചെയ്യാൻ നമ്മളെ തന്നെ പഠിപ്പിക്കുക? ഹൗ ഡു വി ഫൈൻഡ് ദ ടൈം ആൻഡ് ദി എനർജി ഇൻ ourselves ടു ഗിവ് ourselves സം ടൈം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ റിലാക്സ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള സമയം ഒരു ദിവസത്തിന് എടുക്കണം എന്നെങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ നമ്മളെ തന്നെ പഠിപ്പിക്കുക?
See, Kada, something that I always, talk about in my therapy sessions is that about self-worth, right? See, growing up when we were all children, we were given conditions. Okay, if you score above 95, I'll get you a cycle. Or if you score above 95 this year, I'll take you on a holiday to your favorite place or get you your favorite stuff. So we've all been conditioned into thinking our self-worth depends on what we achieve, right? So now that is one thought. See, again, this is very core areas, but that are most important when it comes to all the other levels, right? So even for us to inculcate self-care, or how do you practice a hobby? How do you see? There are people that struggle finding a hobby for themselves. That's a struggle finding something that they really enjoy doing. Again, it goes back to the same thing. We've all been conditioned in a way that only if we achieve so and so, only if we tick off so many things on the list, then we are worthy of doing something. Then we are worthy of maybe even eating a certain kind of food, or only if I've worked out so much, I can have a chocolate bar, right? Only if I have completed so much of work, or so much of even people who are staying at home, only if I've cleaned the house every day, I am worthy of stepping out. If I don't clean the house, I cannot step out, right? So that particular conditioning is something that we all need to think about. Is that is it just the work that defines our self-worth, or are we much better than that, much more than that, right? Now that's one thing. Now, when you do define that, look into things that make you feel genuinely happy, right? What are some things that, and understand, just because yes, we all have responsibilities, yes, we all have different things to do, but that doesn't mean we get to relax, we get to rest only if we accomplish those things. We're allowed to. And again, who has to allow us anyway, isn't it? Who sets these rules anyway? It's the internal dialogue within us that makes us think that only if I do, then I can do this, then I can do that. Only if I do this, I can step out. Only if I have done so much work, I can buy a new pair of dress, or jewelry, or whatever, isn't it? So again, it goes back to how you treat yourself, and then you look at whether this is your narrative. Start changing the narrative. Look into things that you're happy, and tell yourself that yes, I am allowed to enjoy these things. I am allowed to have a hobby. I am allowed to relax. And then look at what kind of things relaxes you in your day-to-day life. Right? It can be very different things for different people.
So you said who allows you to. Apo most of our clients, when most of us, when we enroll in a fitness program, when we set a goal for ourselves that we are doing this, എല്ലാ ദിവസവും നമ്മൾ വിൽ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് 5,000 steps at least എന്ന ഒരു ഗോൾ വെക്കാണ്. And maybe we are not able to reach there, and maybe our fitness band is telling us that okay, you are just 1,500 steps there, you are not reaching it. Otherwise, our fitness app is telling us that you haven't worked out today towards the end of it. We might have a very stressful night, we're not able to wake up early in the morning. ഒരുപാട് കാരണങ്ങളുണ്ടാവും. But at the end of the day, when we get that notification saying that you haven't done this, most of us panic. We have guilt trip. We feel guilty. We feel anxious that we have missed out on the goal we have set. How to deal with, even when you set the goal, how to deal with this kind of an anxiety or this kind of a guilt?
Right. See, like I said before, if a child comes to you, right, and say that, okay, they were supposed to, as an activity that was given by a parent, they were supposed to maybe write or draw a certain pages or color a certain pages, and they were only able to do one page, right? And this child, maybe let's say 5-year-old, is coming to you at the end of the day, and they start talking to themselves, and they start complaining to you that, oh no, I wasn't able to do this, I don't think I'm good at doing this, and so on and so forth. How would you think of treating that child? What would be your response?
I'll tell them that it's okay.
Why?
Because maybe it's not, you don't have to do this to be deserving to be happy.
Right. So now this is only supposed to add to the child's happiness, and this entire painting or coloring work is only supposed to keep the child distracted. It doesn't define the child's self-worth or who the child is, isn't it? See, now just like that, when you are working out, okay, when you are working out and when you've not been able to do something that was assigned to you or something that you thought you wanted to do, you need to be able to sit with yourself and ask, how much have you done today? What was your day like, right? And even if you have not done much, are you tired? Do you need more rest? Are you up to this, right? Again, goes back to, if it was somebody else, maybe our partner or a friend or a child, we would be okay and we would say, it's okay, you can do it tomorrow. Doesn't matter, right? Don't beat yourself up about it. But then we always have this negative narrative to ourselves, and it's so rigid. So the first thing you all need to be able to do is that address, why am I talking to myself this way? Why can I not cut some slack for myself? Right? Now, again, this guilt, a lot of people do experience the guilt from not being able to do. It's not just to do with workout. It's with a lot of other activities as well, right? I'm not a good person if I don't do this. I'm not a good wife or husband. I'm not a good mother. I'm not a good daughter. So we all define ourselves into these little things that we do or we don't do, right? We should be able to sit down with ourselves and understand how much we have actually done, rather than being focused on the things that we have not done, right? And with workout, I think that's one thing. If people start looking at their week as a whole, how much workout that they've been able to do, how much they've accomplished, and then slipping in just one day has to be okay, isn't it? That entire narrative. So I think in your coaching, a lot of narrative training is something that will help, the way you talk to yourself.
Thank you. Next topic we get asked in our day zero page when we posted about this is about sleep. How എത്ര നേരത്തെ ഉറങ്ങാൻ പോയാലും they are not able to sleep. They are like tossing and turning around the bed. They are not able to sleep and they wake up exhausted. How do you sleep better if there is a way for sleep coaching?
1 second, Gada. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. There was a power failure. I think it will come back. So just give me a second.
Sure.
Okay, but let me answer your question anyway. Again, it's gone. Can you see me? Can you see me? Am I visible?
I actually couldn't see your video earlier also, so I am not sure.
It's right. Okay. So, see, with regards to the sleep, like we spoke about the eating disorder part, with sleep also you have to understand how long, you've struggled with your sleep. Have you, if you are able to, whether you wake up really exhausted after you get 6 to 7 hours of sleep, do you keep waking up in between your sleep? All of these things are something that you need to really evaluate. Just 1 second. Yeah. So once you evaluate these things, you will be able to understand how intense your sleep problem is. And if you really are not able to do much about it, or if you really think that it is severe, then you need to seek help, professional help, right? You might have to take therapy or medication that will help you with sleep better. But for people who are able to sleep but would like to have a better sleep schedule, what we can do is you need to start with having a good sleep routine, which probably starts maybe 2 hours before your bedtime. So let's say somebody wants to go to bed at 10 o'clock. You need to start with dim lights and lessen the usage of your phone or any electronic device. Maybe start reading, have a little bit of downtime. That's one thing that you can go about it. The second thing is a lot of people don't sleep at night also because of the thought train that runs in their head, right? The things that they need to be doing the next day, the things that they haven't been able to do, how much work is left, what needs to be done, or too many things. And also they kind of we all recap our entire day before we go to sleep. We think of something that has happened at work, we think of something that has happened at the office, a certain conversation that went a certain way. All of these things comes back and it goes in a loop in our mind before we go to bed, because bedtime is probably when we are really silent and calm, and then we are resting. So all the thoughts that we had stalled until then due to different activities and because we were distracted would come onto the surface, right? So then what you do is you need to make it a habit to start writing all of these thoughts down. It could be emotional thoughts, it could be even a to-do list that you have to, because some people also have the habit of thinking of what I need to be doing the next day. And then again, you will have the fear of, what if I don't remember these things tomorrow? And so that you will hold on to that particular thought over and over again. So what you do is you make a to-do list. Maybe early in the evening, if you do that, you will be able to look at what you will be able to do that particular day and what you have to keep for the next day. Now that will keep one part of the brain sorted. And now the other thing is a lot of emotional thoughts, a lot of recapping, a lot of what you need to be doing, how to get better, a lot of self-blame. All of this might come up before you hit the sack. So if you can make it a habit to write down. So what I say, one thing I say to a lot of my clients is to write down 10 things at the top of your head or 15 things at the top of your head. Empty your mind before you go to bed, right? And that way you have written it down somewhere and you don't have to hold on to it in the fear that you might forget it the next day, right? So a healthy sleep routine is something that really helps with having better sleep, right? Dim the lights and all of those. Again, waking up exhausted, you will have to look into what reasons. Do you wake up a lot in the middle of the night, or do you not get deep sleep? So that is again something that can be consulted and looked into deeply.
Thank you. I think we can get into the questions that our audience has asked. If you have any questions, please ask us. So one of them that strikes me very much is that how do you work out when you're depressed and when you can't even get up from the bed?
Right. See, now that would be a little far-fetched of a goal to just suddenly start working out when you're not able to do that. See, especially if you are somebody battling depression, right? The first thing that you should be able to do is take care of yourself. In a way, what do you need? Maybe start therapy first. Talk to somebody. Have a good support system. And then from there you start. Once you're able to feel slightly better, start doing your workout. And there are a lot of people who are able to work out without seeking help as well. It really depends on how you are able to really push yourself out of that particular emotional space you are at, right? Is there any specific question why you have asked this, Gada? Is there any specific reason?
Yeah, one of our audiences has asked the same question in the questions. So they have asked exactly this way, that even how do you work out when you are depressed and can't even get up from the bed? Speaking of which, we have also had experiences from our people, from our community, who tells us that they do not feel very good. I have had experiences where where they are working out, they break out in between. They just break up crying. So there have been experiences like this. So Angana Verumbo, how do you deal with those kind of an influx of emotions? Working out chain the Samethanangil Podum, how do you deal with that?
Right. See, one thing is to know and understand what you are dealing with, right? A lot of people do experience depression or anxiety or a certain kind of, a certain kind of mental health crisis that people are going through. The first thing is to address that. The moment you start understanding, the moment you understand that you're not able to do the activities that you otherwise would do, or you're not able to work, you're not able to work out, you're not able to get yourself out of the bed, you're not finding enthusiasm, or excitement in activities that ideally gives you pleasure, you don't find your hobbies interesting anymore. Those are the symptoms, or those are the signs when you need to know that something's not right in the system, right? And that's the point where you can seek professional help as well, right? The other thing is to maintaining a thought journal also can help. Understanding your own thoughts and understanding yourself, what really bothers you, what is something that makes you, what is your trigger that makes you feel sad, all of these things, understanding. But usually people, when they're not able to get themselves out of the bed, it would have been a space where they need to seek professional help, right? And like you said, if a client is breaking down, again, see, from what I've understood about day zero is also that it's more holistic than it is just physical health that you are focused into, right? So when you do that, maybe you can have a checklist or something when a client approaches to assess their basic emotional health. Because see, from what I'm understanding, you also do refer, or you have referred clients into seeking professional help previously, right? So when you do that, maybe when a client comes in, you can have a checklist of maybe body image issues, or their anxiety levels or depression levels. So maybe with the help of a therapist or a professional, you can come up with a certain checklist that can help people with that, right? But again, to answer the question somebody has asked here, if you are struggling with being unable to get out of bed, or unable to do anything, your work, your day-to-day activities, if you're finding it very taxing, then it definitely is time to reach out and seek help.
So most of the times when they seek help also, in my personal experience as well, we are told to, find some activity, physical activity ചെയ്യാനാണ് നമ്മളോട് പറയുന്നത്. And what if that particular day I'm not able to do it? And then our guilt, we build up that guilt. How do you deal with it on a day-to-day basis?
Right. See, a few things here. One is, a lot of activities like maybe journaling or exercising or finding a hobby. Personally, for me, I do not recommend these things until I feel the client is more stable to do something like that, right? Because let's say, for example, somebody is experiencing depression, and they approach you as a professional, and if you are going to ask them to find something, they won't be able to, because that's the space they are at, and which is why they've reached out, right? So only when they are more stable, they will be able to find something to do. And now once you have done that, is also, you will, once you've done that, once you've managed to get out of that particular space, and you've started working out, and you have found an activity, you found a hobby, and then you slip for a day or two, that is when you need to look into the narrative, how you talk to yourself, right? Because from point zero, we've reached to maybe or 3 or 4, right? So there's progress, definitely. So we need to be able to look at the positive side of it rather than looking at the only negative sides of it. So then the only way to come back is, it's okay, today I did slip and I couldn't do it, but tomorrow I'm going to do it. And that is another way we can achieve habit and consistency as well, right? So to not see, when you are talking about this particular example, I'm sure that there's a team working. So there's a coach, a trainer, and then there's probably a therapist, and then the client themselves, isn't it? So they have a very good team that can guide them through that process. Now, what happens there is, see, one thing definitely, the narrative, the self narrative is helped with, right? Secondly, this person, when they are slipping, we need to be able to remind them of the progress that they've made. Okay. See, now I've also come across a lot of people who have tried working out or finding activities or hobbies when they are feeling extremely depressed or low or anxious. Now, in the long run, that's not going to work, because that then they are using physical exercises as a way to distract and shut off their emotional side. Now, what happens with that is, maybe for a few days you will be able to do the workout and exercise, but eventually you will end up shutting down, because one way or the other the emotional aspects will take over. Because see, it's impossible for us to live a life without stress or worry or anxiety, isn't it? So one way or the other this will come up. So it's best to address both of these, the physical and mental and emotional aspects all together has to go hand in hand.
Thank you. Another question the same person has asked is that will pushing ourselves to work out worsen the mental exhaustion?
Yes, I think that's just the definitely, because the more you ignore your emotions, right? See, if I'm to talk about, let's say, a childhood trauma experience, for example, something that maybe a child has experienced bullying in their school, and then they've grown up into this adult by ignoring all of those particular aspects. Now what happens is, you can go more and more into physical exercises, and you do more and more of work, because you just want to distract yourself. But there comes a point in life where some kind of a stressor hits. It could be your profession, your career, it could be your family, it could be friends, it could be anywhere. Now, when that hits, you are not going to deal with the anxiety and stress of that particular moment alone. It's all the unresolved stuff from the past that is going to come back up, right? So it is always important that you address your emotional and mental aspect as well as the physical aspect together, because this cannot be your fitness and wellness or workout cannot be used as an escape mechanism from your emotions.
Yes. So, another question that I would like to ask is that some days you feel very tired. You do not feel like working out. You do not feel like going to the gym or hitting the mat or whatever activity that you want to do. And at the same time, you're not sure if you're being lazy or if you're genuinely giving yourself that space to take rest and relax. How do you, differentiate between being lazy, or how do we escape from that loop of targeting ourselves lazy?
Right. So, is it something that one question you can ask yourself is it something that you would do on a regular basis? Because, see, feeling again, as human beings, if you have worked out, let's say 5 days a week, the sixth day, you can allow yourself to be lazy too, because that is also one aspect that we don't have to kind of beat ourselves up about it. But when the question that you asked, like you said, if you are whether you are lazy or whether it is a genuine tiredness, how do you understand that is, are you able to do other tasks? Let's say, for example, you wake up in the morning, and you able to do other stuff? Have you phoned somebody? Have you spoken to somebody? Have you gone shopping? Have you done a bunch of other stuff? And then when you think about the gym, you don't want to go. Maybe yes, that then you understand you're feeling a little lazy that particular day. But is it genuine tiredness? Now, have you been able, because most people who look forward to going to the gym or working out might not feel lazy all of a sudden. They probably are tired. A lot of times this is something that I've also dealt with, right? Because they find genuine difficulty in doing other activities as well, right? So you need to understand what your energy levels are, where has it dipped. So sometimes you need to listen to your body as well, right? And if you are somebody who cooks for yourself, for example, on a day where you're completely energetic, you are all pumped up and you want to make something really nice for yourself, right? But on those days where you feel not so much to it, you might not want to. You might probably make something easy, or even maybe a sandwich or a salad or something easy, and you might eat that, right? Now, how would you define that? You probably define it as would you define it as laziness, or would you define it as tiredness? I mean, both are possible. But again, you need to look at the overall how you are going to or how you have dealt with yourself through that entire day is something that you can look at.
Thank you, Namitha. It was amazing to talk to you. Do you have any final thoughts? Do you have anything to add to the whole session that we just had?
I think in every single one of those topics that we covered today, it's all one way or the other come down to every individual taking care of themselves, understanding your personal needs, your body type, who you are as a person, what your likes and dislikes are, where your boundaries are, how much can you push yourself, and what is your limit. All of these things is something that I think every individual need to understand. And like the few questions that were asked, forgetting one aspect of you and going on with the other aspect, hoping that this would somehow get away from the system, is definitely not going to work. So the earlier that we address it, the better it gets, because as much as you're keeping it aside and keeping it away, the impact that it will have later will be amplified, right? So the earlier that you are able to address your emotional concerns, the better that you will be able to go on with all the other aspects of your life. I think that is something that I did notice. Every single topic came down to this one aspect where noticing the self-talk, how we talk to ourselves. A lot of people have this self-talk based on how maybe their parents or their teachers or somebody from their childhood, their primary caregivers, have spoken to them in their childhood. So you need to reevaluate. So if your self-talk is negative, you need to understand that you are an adult now and you don't have to follow the same thing that was taught to us when we were a child, right? It is possible to change. So these are some of the things, I think, when we look at physical or mental or emotional aspect, these are some of the major important things that everybody needs to look into.
Thank you so much, Namitha. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. We will sometime do this again. Thank you so much again, Namitha. I can't thank you enough for taking this 1 hour, more than 1 hour actually, out of your schedule and talk to our people. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. If you
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Namitha.
No, I was saying thank you so much for hosting the live. And I think these are some of the very relevant questions and relevant concerns that most of us have these days. So if there are any further questions, feel free to reach out.
Exactly what I was about to say. If you have any more questions that you felt like not safe here to ask publicly, please message either Day Zero or Namitha. We will be here. We will be here for you. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. We will be saving this video and posting it on our page. And this is bye from Namitha and Day Zero Wellness. Bye.